listeners, and welcome to the Liberty Mike podcast, broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the heart of Dixie. I am Michael, and I am here with Liberty Larry.
How's it going?
Doing all right? How are you?
Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you happy that we've won the war?
Are we clear? Has the banner went up? Have we declared it already?
I think we've said it a few times. Like, Iran's on the verge of collapse.
Yeah. Also talked about it may go till September, so.
Yeah, and will be for months and months and months, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be the first time we'd been lied about the status of a war.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. The whole thing's foolish.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, it's just crazy to me because Trump has to know that he's just ruining his presidency with this. Like, there's no way. And I do think that he thought that he could like do this and then back off. And I think that that Iran thought differently.
Yeah, I don't think he's susceptible to praise. And I bet that instead of people in his office telling him that this could ruin his presidency, he's got people in his office telling him that he's so brave. He's finally, we have you, Mr. President Trump, that's finally brave enough to take on Iran. That's what I imagine he's hearing.
I'm sure that's what he's hearing. It's just irritating that he's not smart enough to see past that. But we talked about this, or I remember specifically me mentioning it after one of the debates he had with Kamala Harris, where she just kind of led him around the whole debate with just by saying certain things to lead him in directions. And I had said after that debate, like, this guy can be manipulated very easily if you know how to do it. Because if Kamala Harris could do it, it ain't difficult. And she did. One of those debates, like, he could not stay on message because she was leading him down trails the whole time. And it was intentional. Like, it was not, it wasn't an accident. And so I, to your point, I think that's what we're seeing here is that there's people in this administration that's wanted this for a long time, and they're going to get it, or they have gotten it. Yeah. You know,
and they're just going to keep telling him what he wants to hear to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid that might be the case. There's not an easy off ramp either.
Not now.
Now you're here.
Yeah. Well, because you've put both feet in by doing this.
It's a game of chicken too, and the U.S. just has more to lose.
Yeah.
For us, for the United States, and Israel for that matter. Well, Israel wants the complete destruction of the country.
Yeah.
The U.S. wants to win, whatever that means.
Yeah.
All Iran has to do is not lose.
Yeah. Just keep putting new ayatollahs in place.
Keep the country at least marginally together.
Yeah.
Until the other side gives up.
And to that point, because there's been a lot of push that, well, it's time for the Iranians to rise up, and this is your opportunity. Like,
we're trying to do that with an air war, though.
Well, that's what I was fixing to say.
History would suggest that an air war just tends to consolidate the population against you. Not
that's exactly where I was going. Is you can't do this that way. You just as
or at least nobody has.
Well, I don't see how it, because the people you want to take control aren't going to be the ones to rise up when the buildings are being blown up all over the place. There's too much chaos. Now you can control some of that when you have boots on the ground, but then you have boots on the ground, and we're at least trying not to go that route. I mean, I think even Trump knows that that's a mistake.
That's a huge loser for him politically.
So there's And people rally to the flag. I mean, it's just like, I mean, after 9/11 here, like, I mean, and this is something Dave Smith was saying the other day that really, I mean, it's something I always knew but never really looked at it in these terms, was like George W. Bush had like record high approval ratings through most of his presidency due to 9/11. And you're going to have that same effect in a country that's being bombed by another country. Like, it's just, you're not going to, it has to happen. Like,
yeah. Dropping bombs here, there, and everywhere is not conducive to winning the hearts and minds of the people.
No, and especially at the very beginning of this, when one of those things you dropped the bomb on was a school full of like 8-year-old children.
Girls.
Girls at that, yeah. Like, that's not, you're not winning the PR campaign with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. I've got I have some commentary on that related to another topic that I want to discuss in the course of this Iran discussion.
Okay.
You were talking about blowback earlier. Let's start with that though. So
yeah, the blowback. So we've already seen some in with that attack we had in Austin, like right after this had all got started. But something Scott Horton was saying also on part of the problem that I just had not considered at all is that, you know, this new Ayatollah could declare holy war on the U.S. And if he does that, there will be terrorist attacks in this country. There's not, and the thing is, the part of the problem with having a free country like what we have is there's soft targets everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there's not that much you can do about it other than start taking away more of our freedom.
Well, and centralizing control in the government, and surely they don't want that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I like along that line, the U.S. or Israel or both, who knows, like one and the same at this point, at least in terms of the attacks on Iran, bombed a desalination.
Is that like where they purify the water?
Yeah. Anyway, one of these facilities in Iran.
Yeah.
Taking away fresh water from a bunch of local villages and so forth.
Yeah.
And the Iranian foreign minister, I guess it was, got online and said, like, you've now opened this up.
Yeah.
Bombing civilian infrastructure was a bad choice to make. And just remember that it started with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, there's like, I think roughly half of the fresh water in Israel has to go through desalination.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
Plants.
Yeah.
And even more in some of the other Gulf states that host the United States military.
Yeah.
So this could be a real problem.
And that just goes back to the what we were saying earlier. Like this, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, it could go really bad.
Yeah. Attacks within the U.S., a lot of soft targets potentially, like if you've opened it up to civilian infrastructure being part of war in the same way that we've opened up assassination just being an acceptable part of war and so forth. Like Hegseth's been out there running around telling everybody, we've taken down all the rules. We're not listening to these rules of engagement. We're not doing anything to hamstring our military, etc.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not how a civilized society acts. You lose the moral high ground real fast.
Yeah.
With these kind of statements. And I'm not sure that we had it in the first place, but we could at least the United States could pretend that they had the moral high ground in some of these cases, but you're just making it clear to the whole rest of the world that you're not standing on the moral high ground.
Well, if your goal is to have the people uprise and take and overthrow this regime, you're not going to get them to do that by destroying their water.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with the people that are like, well, we should just drop a nuclear bomb and be done with it. It's like, yeah, but then you lose the entire world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody has the U.S. reputation doesn't survive that worldwide.
Yeah. And that's absolutely a good point. And on top of that, you completely lose the Muslim world, because you just dropped the bomb on a completely Muslim country, or at least close to completely. I mean,
no, there's actually a lot more religious diversity in Iran than you would think.
Is there? I didn't know that. I just assumed, since they were ruled by the Ayatollahs, that they were.
Yeah, I don't think it's to the level of Syria, but
really. I mean, are there Christians in Israel? I mean, not Israel, Iran.
Iran. Yeah, I'm sure that there are. There's still a remnant as was it Zoroastrianism, which is a much older religion.
Okay, I don't even know what that is.
I think the Shia world is more unified than the Sunni world.
Okay.
In terms of the Muslim sects.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still have Azeris, and they have the Kurds, and
well, yeah. I always forget about the Kurds.
I think that there's more religious diversity there than we're led to believe. Now, I don't know that for certain, but I'm confident in that.
I don't know that, yeah.
Because we were always led to believe that Syria was, a religiously intolerant country, but that was never true.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably true at some time, but it wasn't true under the more recent regimes in Syria that we absolutely had to overthrow, but were in fact secular regimes. And this is like one of the things that that I keep coming back to when they say, "Oh, well, we want to see secular rule in Iran." It's like, well, I don't know that improves things necessarily. Like, secular rule hasn't necessarily. It's not like secular rule means democracy, or civil liberties, or like those things are not connected to secular rule in any way. There's, the one does not mean the other, and so I don't know that it's necessarily an improvement. To replace a theocracy with secular rule.
Yeah.
It could be just as authoritarian or worse.
Yeah.
Some more blowback, and this is something I was kind of surprised that you hadn't heard about this, but because we were talking about it before the show, but there was an attack in New York at a anti-Muslim or anti-Islam protest.
Yeah.
At the mayor's residence, Mamdani's residence, which I don't think was his. It's like the official mayor's residence,
mayor,
whatever.
Yeah.
And it, the way it was presented, so nothing ended up happening. Actually, like nobody died.
Yeah.
But there were some improvised explosives thrown, some homemade bombs, pipe bombs, essentially, thrown. And because nobody died, like all these little blurbs that I was seeing, it was just like the headline and the little subline, was written like, bombs thrown at anti-Islam protests at the Mamdani's residence in New York, and white supremacist protests in New York punctuated by bombs being thrown at Mamdani's residence, and things like this, suggesting that it was the people involved in the anti-Islam protests that
were supplying
threw bombs or were trying to attack Mamdani or the residents or whatever. But the truth is that a couple of Muslim teens, I think, from Pennsylvania drove up to New York with these homemade bombs and threw them into the protesters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, their parents were Afghan immigrants. They were born here, I think.
Yeah.
Some of that's unclear. But they're kids that were radicalized here in the U.S., and they went to New York to blow up anti-Islam protesters.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media is is writing these things in such a way to completely misrepresent what happened.
Yeah.
Trying to make it sound like it was the white supremacist, anti-Islam, anti-immigrant protesters that were the terrorists here when it was not.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened with them. I guess their parents escaped Afghanistan. I'm guessing that their parents are like not on board with the protesters, but or not on board with the terrorists generally. I'm not sure about that, or maybe they just had a misprint of the anarchist cookbook or something, and that's why none of this worked.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
it takes practice to make stuff blow up when you want it to.
I don't know, man. I was a Boy Scout.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, yeah. I mean, I've blown a lot of stuff up. I'm just saying,
it's not really that hard. Lots of things.
Well, I'm not saying it's hard. It takes a little practice, though.
No, okay. At any rate, there was even one headline that it was something like, a mass of fuses and molten metal were found at the site or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Are you allergic to the word bomb? Because that's clearly what it was. I mean, why would you try and confuse things in that way?
Yeah.
You know, like a mass of fuses and molten metal or melted metal or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Let's say what was really happening here at the very least. Yeah. And I get frustrated with that kind of stuff, you know, like this is a case where it's not like they got it wrong.
Yeah,
they're intentionally misrepresenting what happened.
Yep.
So don't trust the mainstream media; they suck.
Yeah.
Is there something more you wanted to say about like blowback right now?
Not just that we need to remember that it was Donald Trump and the Republicans if this shit starts coming together and starts happening. Mm-hmm. Like, they're the ones to blame here. Like, I hate both sides, but they're responsible for this. Like, going into Iran is the reason for these problems. And because as time goes along, it's always funny how you like forget where things really started. And I just want to like punctuate that. Like, this is on them. Like, they own this.
Yeah. Well, according to Hegseth, they started this.
Yeah, exactly. They being Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. Man? Who attacked who? Iran hasn't initiated a war in more than a century. What about the U.S.?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this is a war choice. Like, there's no question about it. Like, as much as the administration tries to spin this, just like with that, we had every option whether to do this or not do it.
Yeah. They started this war by not agreeing to the terms that we dictated to them.
Yeah. And then Trump's out there now talking about unconditional surrender.
Yeah, I know. If at first you don't succeed, I guess.
Well, those words
raise the stakes.
It's crazy that those are the words he would choose, because it immediately invokes World War II with Japan.
Yeah.
That's what you think of when you hear unconditional surrender. And what did it take for us to get unconditional surrender against Japan?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what it was. Like, we dropped 2 bombs, not just one. So
we probably didn't need either one. Although we likely wouldn't have gotten unconditional surrender at that point. But
yeah,
but surrender was imminent according to a lot of sources at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so. And I know people are going to really bristle at that, but
well, I mean, it's not really that. I mean, I think most people do understand that. Like, the argument against not dropping the bombs is that, well, that we save so many American lives by speeding up that process. That's the argument. Like, I don't think people really try to push back on the fact that we were going to get the surrender.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even that part of it is likely at least an extreme exaggeration.
Yeah. No,
the number of American lives that would have been required to get a surrender without dropping the bombs, probably not that high. I mean, they were already trying to back channel.
Yeah.
To discuss terms of surrender. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
At any rate, we
don't need to get bogged down.
It's interesting to me, though, that those were the words he chose, because He has to know what he's invoking when he says that.
Yeah, probably.
So.
Well, I do want to change the topic a little bit and then
circle back to it again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not getting off the Iran thing anyway.
Oh, okay.
But there's some other like long-term prospects about this that I think are important to discuss, and we'll get to them closer to the end. That'll probably be our last topic. Right. But I did really want to talk about this AI issue. This beef between Anthropic and the Department of Defense or Department of War, whatever we're calling it now.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of. I think that this is interesting.
Yeah.
I've looked into this quite a bit over the last few days, and just as a background, a week ago today, the Department of Defense named Anthropic as a supply chain risk.
Okay.
And it's never been used, like that designation has never been used against an American company. It's meant to prevent the incorporation of rival country systems and critical or sensitive military or government tools and protocols. We don't want to use Chinese chips in our defense systems or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's meant to be for.
Okay.
And this could potentially cost Anthropic hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts,
like government contracts.
Yeah. Because if this thing's like fully invoked, anybody who works with the U.S. government or military, or we'll just say the U.S. government because the military is part of it, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who works with the U.S. government is not supposed to use Anthropic products,
even in their personal life.
Well, or not in their business.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out where the lines are here.
Yeah. And this whole thing seems to have been used as a retaliation against Anthropic, or at least this is the claim that Anthropic's making, that this was used as retaliation by the government against Anthropic for Anthropic refusing to allow government unfettered use of their AI products, specifically for use in mass domestic surveillance and use of autonomous weapon systems.
Okay.
All right. So Anthropic is saying that the government wanted to use their generative AI products to as part of autonomous weapon systems and for domestic mass surveillance of Americans.
Yeah.
And everybody else here, I guess, too, but obviously including Americans.
Yeah.
And Anthropic refused to allow them to do that. And the government got angry about it. And Trump was like, I fired them like dogs, whatever. And they might have a good case at this point of saying that they've been singled out in retaliation because OpenAI said that they secured a contract right after this with the government that restricted their use from autonomous weapon systems and mass domestic surveillance. So the fact that that Anthropic rejected it and then the government fired them and then named them essentially as a terrorist business, sort of, and then made a contract with OpenAI that the terms were essentially what Anthropic's would agree with what Anthropic would have agreed with, it seems.
Yeah.
They might be able to make a case. But the problem is that the government has a whole lot of latitude in this regard. Well, because there's just not a lot of law around any of this.
Well, and do you think that they made that agreement with OpenAI because they just decided that none of these companies were going to go along with what they wanted to do?
It's possible. I mean, I have no idea.
It seems like risky business to me to turn, and I mean, I don't know enough about AI to really know one way or the other. It just seems like it's a bad idea to start turning weapon systems like over to the AI to start doing these type of things.
Well, they're already doing some things.
I'm sure they are on some level, but like it just like AI is good, but it ain't that good. Like there's still a lot of problems with it.
I think you could skip the first part of that phrase.
It has its moments.
It has value, but it's not that good. That's what I would say.
And I do think that it will eventually be that good. Like I think that day comes. It may be 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Or it may be a few years. I mean, it just depends on how fast the technology develops. But I think we can all kind of agree we ain't there yet.
Yeah, I hope that we can agree on that, but I doubt that that's true either, that people would agree. I think that there are a lot of people that would disagree with you.
I think there's some. I don't think you're wrong, but
there's a lot of people that are reliant on AI. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of people that are reliant on AI that are not nearly as skeptical as they should be. Yeah. It's kind of incredible how it will mess things up.
Yeah, and it you would think, and that's where I'm kind of astonished, is that people that use it a lot, like, just don't seem to see that.
Well, because they don't check sources.
Oh, okay.
They just trust the AI.
Yeah, I guess that you're right. That is,
and they don't check the sources. At least, like, if you go through and the AI gives you an answer about something, go look at the sources. I have found over and over again that the AI's interpretation of the sources is sometimes like completely antithetical to what the source actually says.
Yeah.
And but I think a lot of people look at it as a shortcut, and so they're not gonna ruin their shortcut by actually digging in afterwards.
Right, exactly.
But it's important to do so. Like I like to read the summaries of AI, and then I go to the sources and I look up what I think are at least generally reliable sources out of there. I mean, usually it's pulling information for the kind of stuff that I look up on there. It's usually pulling information from news organizations.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll go through and I'll pick a couple of the news organizations, sometimes that are on opposite sides from my perspective to each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff that's just on opposite side from me.
Yeah.
And I'll grab 3 or 4 of those sources and read those articles.
Yeah.
That the AI is using to source the information. Yeah. And I think that you should all do that.
Yeah.
Because you might be really surprised after you've read the AI summary when you start reading the news articles.
Yeah.
What they actually say. And in fact, I started with an AI summary of this particular issue.
Oh, yeah.
But then I read half a dozen different news articles, and I branched off from there into some other stuff, and
actually started learning things.
Yeah, yeah, and I was able to I think get a reasonable picture about what's going on. And one of the interesting things that I found in this is that Anthropic's reason for not wanting it wasn't this just totally moral, ethical judgment on their part, that they didn't want their tools used to oppress the American people by, getting more involved in their personal lives and amalgamating information from disparate sources to learn more about Americans than Anthropic thinks that the government should have, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which would be the right position, but that's not their position.
Yeah, never is.
And in fact, Anthropic is it's not the most well-known on-the-ground AI tool.
Okay. Yeah.
OpenAI, XAI, these are both far better known tools for the average person, because Anthropic has tried to position itself as being more of an enterprise level AI to incorporate into standards of practice for businesses and so forth.
Gotcha.
All right. At any rate, and they did make a big deal with Palantir last year, and I hesitate to say that name because I know as soon as I say Palantir, there's going to be people out there that are like, oh, anti-Semite.
Yeah.
That's not my problem with Palantir.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's already being used as a privacy intrusion.
So what?
And I think that this stuff should be protected by the Fourth Amendment, but you are talking about public information, so maybe not. But the ability of governments to synthesize public information from like I said earlier, disparate sources, like far-ranging sources, and to compile information in a quick way using AI tools it just results in an unprecedented ability of the government to know the individual actions of anybody that they want.
Potentially, if you trust that the AI is consolidating that information well.
And we're going to assume that they do because of other things that they're using it for, and we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I did want to, what was Anthropic's reason for not wanting to go along?
Yeah. I was trying to get back to it. I was working my way back, so that was a perfectly timed question.
All right.
It was that the generative AI tools are not ready for these kinds of applications.
Oh, okay. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So, and the way I read that is that what they mean by that is that they know that they're unreliable.
Yeah.
And they don't want liability for the failure of these systems because the government's not going to take liability.
Yeah. Once you implement them in that type of manner, you're right. The government's not going to. They're going to turn to the AI companies. And it's funny that even these companies realize that this isn't quite ready for prime time yet. That it's still in its early phases here.
Certainly not when people's lives are in the balance.
Exactly.
Which is kind of the point here.
Yeah, because if it misinterprets your articles that it's summarizing for you, nobody's dying over that.
Yeah.
But like I say, it start using it for surveillance and to control missiles and stuff like that.
Yeah. And remember like the targeted strikes thing that sounds like, oh, well, you've got a particular target in mind. I don't remember. No, there was some different euphemism. That's not it. And we've talked about it in the past, and I can't remember exactly what the word that they use was for they're using essentially cell data to determine whether somebody was a terrorist or not, and then just dropping a bomb on them.
Like triangulating
Well, yes and no, but they're like using movement to determine if there's
like... We've talked about that before.
They had a specific term for like this process of determining who to strike with this.
Yeah.
And it made it sound like, like it's, sourced. It's like real intelligence.
Yeah.
Like eyes on kind of intelligence, but it's not at all. It's just like, well, we saw the cell phone move in this direction and then backtrack and then move back in the other direction. But then like cut across, but then cut back to where they were heading towards in the first place. And that's just
that's a terrorist. I remember us talking about that. That's
consistent with anti-surveillance measures and so forth. Like this is, and so clearly that person's a terrorist when it could just be that like, you dropped your cell phone on the floor. You dug around for it for a second. You turned back because you thought you must have left it at home. Then it beeped, and so you turned around onto a side road so you could get out of your car and look for it and find it under your seat. And then you started heading back in the right direction again.
Yeah, like that type of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, they're not going to want the liability for killing the wrong people. And I think that this has already happened. I think that this, part of the reason this blew up in the way that it did is that I bet you that strike on that girls' school was identified by an AI tool that this was a good place to strike because that girls' school used to be a part of a naval base that's right there.
So that's the excuse they're using is that they had some kind of old map or something like that and that's what.
Yeah, but it's been a school for like 10 years.
Really old map.
Yeah. From what I was reading, 2013 maps show it as part of this naval base, and 2016 maps you can see that it's been separated off from the naval base. That the towers and walls that protected it before have been taken down, and that they had playgrounds and stuff and ball fields instead of the stuff that they had before.
You make a
2016.
Good point. Yeah, you make a good point that's the type of mistake that AI would make.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's absolutely within that purview of where the gaps are at.
And there are sources that are saying that the U.S. government is using the AI to identify targets and things that used to take weeks to do. The AI spits out in an hour. Mm-hmm. But what you need is somebody to go back behind it and still spend less time, because it'll still take less time than actually identifying the targets in the first place, but double check that those targets are legitimate targets before you start dropping bombs. And they're probably not.
Yeah, you're right. They're probably not. Because why would you? Because we're going to blow it all up anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is the attitude, you know.
So I think that this is a genuine concern for the AI companies, but I think it's a genuine concern for the AI companies because they will be held liable rather than the government, where it really is the government's choice. And the government is trying to say that, hey, we control your business, damn it. If we're using your tools, we get to decide what the limits are, not you.
Yeah.
Which is just fascism. But
all right.
And, you'd expect nothing less from this administration and our gung-ho, Minister of War.
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense.
Oh, are you one of those?
He's the one that claims to be the Secretary of War.
I like the term Secretary of War. I think it's fitting.
Appropriate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that this is a mask off kind of moment.
That's how I look at it.
Go with it.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to point out what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, that's true.
At any rate, I think that this is like some of these attacks are already signs that we're incorporating AI. We're not double checking it. We're trusting it to be right, because it can spit out a bunch of targets in far less time than humans with maps and intelligence.
Yeah, and just like what you were saying, like it still saves time to use it. You just have to go through and verify. And it's the same way with me or you using it. Like just like you were saying, where you were using it for your research. I mean, it consolidates the data pretty good for you. It shows you where to go to get the sources and stuff. You just have to go actually check the sources. You can't just give what it spits out to you as gospel.
Yeah. And I find places where it's really valuable, like sifting through data.
Yeah.
Like if I want statistics on something that's over a long period of time and maybe over a number of counties and so forth, like for me to try and like look up, I don't know, crime statistics in Chicago or something like that over time.
Yeah.
And break it down into various categories and so forth. For me to like pull all that data and break it down myself and so forth would take me days. Yeah. And the AI can do it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you still have to make sure that like the data that it's pulling is legitimate.
Yeah. Yeah. You still got to verify it.
Yeah. So I see the value in it, but it terrifies me that they're going to use it especially for autonomous killing machines.
Yeah. Yeah.
For lethal autonomous weapons. It's like,
have these people never seen like a sci-fi movie ever?
Yeah, I know. It's like they completely missed Terminator.
Exactly.
This is and actually surveillance. Okay, so like I love the Terminator universe. Well, until recently, anyway. The first few films and the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV series, those were all really good.
Yeah,
and like the Sarah Connor Chronicles actually goes into a lot of detail about where Skynet came from. Yeah. Because the whole series, they're trying to hunt down and prevent the formation of Skynet. Mm-hmm. And it comes from a bunch of different sources. So like, first it's like a chess program.
Yeah.
Like a chess playing computer that forms the basis of it. And then they get rid of that. And then, it's always something else that pops up. It's like they can't prevent the event from happening. All they can do is delay it.
Yeah.
But something else will lead into it. But one of the things that they attack that they suggest becomes at least a part of Skynet is this citywide like logistics program that is that they tap into all the it's supposed to control traffic better, all right, in LA. And so it taps into all the traffic cameras and the traffic lights everywhere and so forth, and using that information, it's supposed to like control the flow of traffic better and make everything more efficient. But the problem is that it has access to every single city camera, like public city camera.
Yeah.
And so it starts off as a surveillance program, essentially.
Yeah.
And eventually becomes this militarized.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like the surveillance part of this isn't isn't that great either.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can see that happening.
So
but,
we didn't talk about it, but did you hear about the Super Bowl commercial with the Ring cameras were tracking down your lost pet for you?
Yeah, I did hear about
which
that.
They turned all of they like done away with that. Like they shut that program down.
Yeah.
Because of the pushback from like people like were upset about it. Because if you can use it to track my dog down, then what else can you watch? You know?
Yeah, you can obviously use it to track down people.
Yeah. Or follow people or whatever you want to use it for, you know. But yeah, it is wild to me that like this technology is moving forward. There's no putting it back in the bottle. The big scary thing is that it's just not that good right now, and to start turning it loose with that type of power is crazy. Not that I think it's going to take over the world. I just think you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah,
like that's what I was getting at. You know,
I mean, you know, I've heard whispers, and I doubt that they're true. I mean, like hopefully people have seen enough sci-fi to at least know that you don't turn over control of your nuclear weapons to the AI. But I have heard whispers of this, like, oh, well, this would be much safer. Like, would it? Are you sure about that? Leave
them on the floppies, man. Leave them on the floppies.
Exactly.
Nobody's hacking that.
Don't copy that floppy. So anyway, this I'm sure everybody heard that. I'm a whiny cat. At least she has quieted down since I got home. For like the first 3 days after I got home from Europe, she did not stop talking. She like, have you ever heard a cat get hoarse?
No, I haven't, but
I have.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, the use of AI in military systems is terrifying, and I understand like the value in terms of like, oh, you know, it can sift through this intelligence so much faster, but you also have to remember that each iteration of OpenAI has hallucinated more.
Yeah.
Not less. They actually they haven't improved the hallucination problem. It's gotten worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it that Adam Curry's always talking about, the where it like devolves or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, what I've said about it all the time, and it's probably similar, is that I do think that it gets worse over time because as these companies are competing, they can't be pulling from the same sources.
Yeah.
And so as you get farther and farther, and I know this sounds weird coming from me, but as you get farther and farther away from mainstream sources, as you start digging into more obscure sources, like there's a chance that you're more likely that you can find more real information, but there's a greater chance that you're going to find more false information.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to diversify, if you're trying to set yourself apart by looking into more and more obscure sources, I think you introduce more error, and then it just iterates.
Yeah. Oh.
So I think these things are going to collapse over time. I just don't think we're there yet. It'll require another revolution sometime in the future.
Model collapse, maybe the term he uses. I can't.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar, at least.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk about some of the long-term potential impacts of this war.
Okay.
Because these are the kind of things...
like blowback?
Like blowback.
Yeah. Covered that one.
But I want to talk about economics.
Okay.
Because I think that this is something that wasn't really considered in great detail by the administration. Mostly because I think that they thought that Iran would just roll over and that would be the end of it. So they didn't think that they had to concern themselves with like a long-term impacts. Yeah. But did you know that 20% of global energy passes through the Strait of Hormuz? Yes, 20% of global energy, 1/5.
I did know that. Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of technologies that require petrochemicals.
Yeah.
So let's see. Well, let's take an easy one. Like an easy one is like a lot of synthetic fabrics, like polyester and stuff like that. All right. Yeah. Requires petrochemicals. Yes, go up there. That's a good place for you to sit. Way over there. You can see everything, and you're not trying to climb into my lap. That's awesome.
You pissed her off.
She's not upset with me. She's just waiting for a moment to try again.
I mean, she have looked like she's going to jump down from there and like dive bomb you.
No.
At least for a minute there.
She can't jump that far, though.
I know she is. The reason I'm saying, like.
Anyway, yeah. So, like polyester, for example, requires petrochemicals.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that these like synthetic fabrics that are based on petrochemicals are the cheap ones. Like they're the cheap fabrics.
That's the affordable stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you raise prices on clothing.
Yeah.
Now that's just the clothing. That's just to produce the clothing. That's just materials and so forth. Okay. Remember 20% of energy. So all your transport costs are up.
Yeah.
All your production costs are up, not just because of materials, but just because the energy to run the factories and so forth, the production line.
I think we're already seeing some of that, by the way, too. So the company I work for, which I didn't get a truck this week because of inventory and whatnot, but all the stores around me, their trucks were like days late, and that hadn't happened since COVID. And I can't help but it can't be a coincidence that when gas and diesel prices went up, all of a sudden our trucks are running late.
Yeah.
Like
interruptions to supply chains are inevitable.
Yeah. Well, and I like this was really bad during COVID, like as bad as I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to go back to that again, but I don't think there's any avoiding it.
I don't think so either, and it gets worse. You want me to keep going?
Oh no, keep going. I was just throwing out my like lived experience here, but yeah.
You know what is another thing that involves a lot of petrochemicals as inputs?
Yeah.
Fertilizer.
Yeah.
All these nitrogen fixers and so forth, the nitrogen-based fertilizers, a lot of petrochemicals involved in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now fertilizer prices go up.
Yeah.
Which means all food prices go up.
That means food's going up. Yeah.
Transportation prices are up. All food prices go up.
Yeah.
The energy to run the farms, like the inputs for energy to run the farms, those prices go up. Yeah. All the food prices go up.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I can't help it.
Rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to, like, if this goes on long enough, I think that with fuel and fertilizer prices going up, which necessarily involves food prices going up, I think that it becomes like you have to reevaluate the cost of an entire crop.
Yeah.
Or an entire harvest.
Yeah.
All these prices going up, it makes it hard to predict the future, which is never good for the economy. I think that we're like racing towards an economic, hopefully just a recession. Yeah. But I think that it could be a lot worse, especially because there's so many inputs in terms of food. Well, and how do you provide? Now, we haven't even gotten into this. This is something that I have been kind of delaying digging into, but it's something that I'm interested in. I'm afraid of what I'll find of the whole farm subsidy racket.
Yeah, that's right.
But like, how do you predict subsidies when you have to continually reevaluate the cost?
Well, there's another factor
of the production
here, is that because what you're laying out, I absolutely can see going forward. Mm-hmm. The other X factor there is how the Trump administration specifically will handle this type of thing, because they're so erratic and so like you just don't know what he's going to do. Like his solutions to these problems could be worse than the problems.
Yeah.
And like I don't even know what direction he would go, but he just is like I said, that's part of what I've always liked about him is you don't know what he's going to do, and he does think outside the box.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, the result might be raise tariffs, print more money to give to the farmers.
Yeah, because there's only so many levers you can pull.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as far as like, what are your options when those type of things start happening is there's only so many things you can do. I memean, start blaming the producers. That's what the left likes to do.
Those greedy farmers.
The greedy farmers, of all these people have never met a farmer in their life. I can tell you that right now. I don't know if I've met a greedy farmer. I don't know. It's just so Trump ran on trying to fix some of those same problems that you laid out. Yeah. And won on that. That was his winning message, was the economy.
I'm going to get food prices down.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to lower prices. And he's already talking about, we got to take a little pain, but for the future and whatnot. Yeah.
But he thinks it's going to be short term, and I don't.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, the only way I see it as short term is if he finds some way to declare victory and capitulates, actually.
Yeah. I just don't see it. I don't. And who knows? He is spontaneous and erratic. I mean, he could decide tomorrow that this is over and stop.
Yeah.
I don't think that's likely.
Yeah.
But it is possible that he just sees that. But it takes him having the right people around him that's going to tell him at least the truth.
Yeah. I thought that this was going to be an improvement in this term when he got people that at least publicly supported his kind of vision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so wrong.
That's why I was excited about his presidency. Not so much him, but the people that he was putting in place. A lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, I had problems with a lot of his appointments as well, but
there were good ones.
It seems like the good ones have been silenced. Mm-hmm. The bad ones are holding the floor, and and he seems like he's just kind of unfettered at this point too.
Yeah,
that he doesn't feel any kind of restraint on his power.
No,
and I don't know if he felt any restraint on his power. So I look back at it now and I think, well, maybe that was the advantage of having all these people that were around him that were working at cross purposes, is that they actually kept him in check.
Yeah. Don't have any of that now.
Yeah. And then I wonder if a lot of these statists that we know, if they had known this is how it was going to be, if they would have promoted him a little bit more in the first place, because there is a perspective on which he is accumulating power at the executive level, and both parties in the end actually like that.
Oh yeah.
No matter what they say about the other guy, when he's got that power, they want that power too.
They know that when they get the seat back, that they'll have that same power.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to expand it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the dangerous, I closed out the podcast last week. Anything, there will not always be Donald Trump in there. So if you're a Trump supporter, you've got to consider the future here. A Democrat's going to win at some point, and the groundwork's already been laid for that to happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
And
if you don't like Donald Trump and fear the accumulation of power, you won't always have a Trump in power that's going to draw attention to it either.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next guy could be another Obama that was really good at, I don't want to say covering up, but excusing the accumulations of power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or dressing them up in constitutional terms or whatever. I mean, at least with Trump, you can say that he doesn't have the understanding of government to know what he's not supposed to talk about.
Yeah, he just says it.
And you have and with Donald Trump, you have a media that's so against him that they report on all the terrible things that he does.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily when they had presidents that they liked in there, like Obama. Obama's just a really good example of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because he was so smooth with it.
Yeah.
He
he was funny too.
He was. Yeah.
Maybe that's all it takes. A little bit of charisma and a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want as president, apparently.
Come on, President Dave Smith.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's a ways away, I think.
Well, probably. But.
Yeah. Hey, man can dream, though, right? See, and then but now I wonder, well, if Dave Smith had that power, would I actually be happy once he started wielding it? Is he a guy that would actually show restraint and peel that back? I don't know. I don't know that anybody is.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of that power accumulating at the top in the first place.
Well, so for me, what I think has to happen is you have to come in and start slashing. You've got to start shutting down agencies, and which was talked about during Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
We've forgotten all of that now, but there was talk of dissolving agencies.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do. You have to come in from the beginning, tearing it down. It's the only way. If you don't do that, you end up where Trump is at now.
There's just so much resistance to that.
Yeah.
There are too many people that are dependent on government largesse, which really means they're dependent on the taxpayer for their survival. And so any kind of talk of getting rid of taxpayer-funded positions just gets a whole lot of pushback. Yeah. And the taxpayers themselves don't seem to understand how they're getting fleeced in this way.
Well, I think so. As part of that, you have to start shutting down some of the tax mechanisms.
Yeah.
That they go hand in hand. You start shutting down agencies, start with the IRS, and just go from there.
Yeah.
Not that I think that's ever going to happen, but I think that's what you have to do, though. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's another way. You can't halfway it.
Yeah.
You got to come in full force.
Well, and this goes back to one of those age-old discussions among the libertarians. Is that I'm committed to political change because what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Is violent revolution. That's the only alternative. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm kind of getting blackpilled on all this and starting to think that maybe violent revolution is the only way any of this happens. We're just going to fall farther and farther into an authoritarian state until there's an uprising again like there was in 1776.
Problem is you have that. The problem with that is you have that uprising. It ain't going to be the libertarians that come out.
I know. It could end up worse than before.
It will almost certainly end up if you just start talking to young people, mm-hmm. They ain't Rothbard libertarians.
But they're not the people that are going to rise up either because they want more power at the government level.
Yeah.
They're not trying to restrict the government. That uprising doesn't happen from people who believe in the state.
Yeah.
And because they watched an accumulation of power at the state and they think, okay, well, this is just going to improve things. So they're not the people that are going to rise up. The people that are going to rise up are when, people rise up when they realize that the government is out of control and can't be stopped and cannot help.
Yeah. I feel like we're there, though.
Well, yeah. A lot of libertarians probably feel like we're there, but most people don't.
I don't know, man. And I use the Epstein thing as an example.
Yeah. I will say this, though, also, is that that nothing spurs revolution like starvation.
Yeah.
And
it ain't looking good right now.
Depending on how long this goes on and how it's handled.
Yeah.
We could see, gosh, I don't want to be so black-pilled on all this. I don't want to terrify people. I don't think that it's likely to go this far.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to understand that it could.
Well, I will tell you
that they have made moves that could potentially lead in the long term if they don't arrest the actions that they've already made.
Yeah.
That could lead in the long term to a spiraling out of control of food prices.
Yeah. People already are hurting, man. Mm-hmm. I see it every day. I'm on the ground, man. Nobody has any money. People are hurting. And this is all started from the stuff that went on during COVID. I talked about it before. Something has to be done to help people catch up. Like everybody, like as a whole, has gotten behind from everything that happened.
That's how you end up with more government power, though, is exactly that kind of statement.
Well, but
somebody's got to do something.
So, no, you're absolutely right, and that's the reason I don't think it goes the way we want it to. If people start starving, it's not going to go our way because of what I just said. Now, when I say people need to catch up, I'm talking about like abolish the income tax or something like that. Like, something that's going to
in the Fed,
like that. Like that's what I'm talking about when I say that.
Yeah, but you got to eliminate government control over money.
What we have to understand is that we're not going to win this argument, like because everybody's looking for that handout. Mm-hmm. They think that handout is what's gonna give them that leg up because people legitimately need to catch up. Yeah. Like something has to be done to help people get caught up. And so as soon as you accept that, like the first place you go is, well, somebody's got to cut them a check.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so I immediately think of Fight Club.
Okay,
right. And like a lot of people watch Fight Club and they think that it's an argument for communism.
Yeah.
And I think it's an argument for anarchism.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I took it as well. I watched it. But
a lot of people...
I'm sympathetic to that argument, so...
Yeah. I mean, there's a discussion at the end where he's talking about, small communities, like with their little fields and, tanning hides in the squares and like things like this. And people see that as a communist argument. And it is to some degree. Yeah. Like small scale communism actually works. Like you're talking about actual community communism.
Yeah.
Not state level communism.
Yeah.
And that's the way humans have historically survived, actually. Like it's really tribalism,
But that's the glory of anarchy, is that you can create those type of societies.
Yeah, but that's the part that they're missing, right? Like in the scenario that that Tyler Durden describes, there's not a government.
Yeah.
And that's what defines it.
Yeah.
That's the anarchism. That's the part that people miss, though.
Exactly. Like Ron Paul had a quote, I don't remember the exact quote, but something along those lines is like, in a free society, you're more than welcome to do your communism thing. Mm-hmm. Like you can have that. You just don't have the right to pull me into it.
Yeah. Well, that was the argument that I always had with a friend of ours that used to be a pretty devout communist and somehow turned into like a big Trump supporter. I don't know how that happened. Yeah. But, that was like one of the things that I said to him over and over to kind of end these discussions was the difference, though, is that under my system, you can still do your system. Under your system, I can't do mine. Exactly.
I win.
Yeah, exactly. Like we all get our way if we do it my way.
Exactly. So, but on large scale, it won't work without the point of that gun.
Yeah. So, the communism.
The communism, yeah. So, you got anything else?
I'm trying to think of like a positive way of closing this out.
I don't know, man. We ended up talking about Fight Club, man. That seems pretty positive to me,
great
man.
Movie.
Great movie.
No, I think I'm just going to go back again and say the same thing that I did to close last time, which is that we have seen Trump back off of this stuff before.
Yeah.
Like roughly a year ago, it was a little less than a year ago, he gave up on the Houthi thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, we won, and backed off, and that was the end of it. And so there is at least the possibility he is capable of backing out of these situations.
Yeah. I mean, that's
gotta hope that he will.
That's what we're hoping for here. That's all the best we can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're over an hour, so we definitely should close out. And that's the most positive thing I can come up with after this discussion.
Yeah. I mean, it's likely. I mean, we'll see, but it's not unheard of for him to just change course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the end, I do think that that's where it's going to end. Is that some of this economic stuff? It's like some of this inflation is going to start to rise and rise and rise, and he's gonna be the one that blinks. He'll find a way to pass it off as a victory.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, man. But he will see the writing on the wall that if this keeps going, we're looking at an economic disaster. And then he'll just have to deal with the last 2 years of his term with nothing but impeachment proceedings, and not get anything that he wants done.
I mean, that's happening. I don't see a way to avoid that at this point. I
don't know. The Democrats self-destruct a lot. So,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, the Republicans are bad about that too, but like, you know, like think about the gold medal hockey win and like.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're really good at turning a good time into a bad time, and that.
Yeah.
At the same time, the Democrats like command more loyalty, I think, than the Republicans do.
Yeah.
Like there's more fanatics.
Just that blind.
Yeah, there's more fanatics in the ranks of the left than the right, I think. Now at the same time, I think that the fanatics on the right are worse in a lot of ways than the fanatics on the left. But I think on the whole, like the average number of fanatics per capita on the left is higher.
Yeah.
They're just less tolerant of, views that dissenting views. I think the right is just more tolerant of dissenting views than the left is right now.
Yeah, right now would be the prefer for that.
Anyway, so we'll be back. Oh, I should mention there's an Alabama Libertarian Convention the last Saturday of this month, which is I think the 28th.
27th or 28th. I thought it was the 27th, but
27th is the Friday, I think.
That may be.
Today's the 12th, right? So 13th is a Friday, which would make the 27th a Friday. So there's like a social on the 27th.
That's correct.
And then 28th is business. And it's in Mobile at Fairhope Brewing Company in Mobile.
Yeah.
Not the Fairhope Brewing Company in Fairhope.
Make sure to say Mobile because as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, sweet, Fairhope.
Yeah, I can almost walk there. No.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but it's supposed to be a really cool venue, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And it should be a good time.
So come out if you're, if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. If any of this stuff is interesting to you and you.
Yeah.
So
you can meet us in real life.
Yeah.
We're real people.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Most of the time. Okay. So now that announcement is made, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean. Like and share, comment. You can always email me, michael@thelibertymike.com. Our website is thelibertymike.com. And I guess that's all the things. So we'll be back next week when we finally get this right. And in the meantime, try to stay free.
Life's short, live free.
Ciao.
Later.